In my opinion, cod is highly underrated and overlooked, so I've gone ahead and given it an elegant upgrade. Leeks take a bath in a broth composed of white wine and chicken stock, and snap peas are added just at the end for a little bit of crunch. And while yes, you could make this dish with halibut or sea bass, but for the love of cod, why would you? I'm gonna turn the stove to medium heat and assemble my broth. We have some chicken stock, some white wine, and a bay leaf, and we're gonna let that come to a simmer. In the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and clean my leeks. You wanna start by removing the dark green ends. Then I'm going to cut off the ends, trying to leave a little bit of the root intact, and I'm gonna slice them lengthwise down the middle. Because leeks are grown in sandy soil, sometimes they have a tendency to catch grit in between their layers, so you just wanna make sure before cooking with them that you run them under cold water to make sure that any sort of grit and sand get out of there, because it's not gonna be fun to eat. My broth is now simmering, so I'm gonna add in my leeks, and I'm gonna let them cook all together until they're tender. Generally, when you're at the farmer's market, you'll notice 3 kinds of peas. There's shelling peas or English peas, snow peas, and then snap peas, which is sort of a hybrid of the two. You wanna look for pods that are really nice and plump and that the strings are dry. When the strings are dry, you can tell that the peas have just been picked. The only prep that needs to happen for these peas is you wanna remove the string that sort of runs along the seam. Texture-wise, you just don't wanna eat them. And then I'm just gonna add these peas right to the broth. And they don't really even need to cook through. You just want them warm through because you want them to maintain some of their structural bite. And then everything is better with butter. So we're gonna add some in here and cook it, swirling it around until it melts. The butter also acts as a thickening agent for the sauce or broth. I'm gonna add in some lemon juice, stir to combine. Now I'm just gonna turn off the heat and set it aside while we prepare our fish. I've got my pan over a medium-high heat. I wanna get it really nice and hot before I add the oil, and then I'm gonna add the fish. When I'm shopping for fish, I'm always looking for fish that's sustainably or wildly caught. In this case, we're using Alaskan cod, which is. So I'm gonna take this time and season it. You wanna make sure to season both sides of the fish. I'm gonna add some olive oil to the pan. So I wanna make sure that it's nice and hot because I want a really crispy skin. I'm gonna add it skin side down, and I'm gonna immediately grab the spatula and press it into the pan. It's because it's gonna seize, and you want as much skin contact with the heat as possible for the crispiest skin. So I'm just really pressing into the flesh of the fish to make sure that it's evenly distributed. Now that's gonna cook probably for about 2 to 3 minutes. You can tell when the fish is ready to be flipped because the flesh will start turning opaque. And when it reaches about halfway, it's a good marker to flip it over. We're looking really nice. The skin is getting beautifully crispy. It's only gonna need about another minute or so on this side because it's pretty much cooked through at this point. My broth is still warm because the fish cooks so quickly. What I'm gonna do now is remove the bay leaf and plate myself some to eat. Put a piece of fish right on top. I'm just gonna spoon a little bit more of this broth around. So here I've got some chives, some parsley, some mint, any tender leafed herb will do. Pick your pleasure. And some flaky salt. So for a dish as elegant as this, I have decided to pair it with a wine that's equally as dignified. It is a Chablis, which is located in the northwest part of Burgundy, and it plays really nicely with this dish. Cutting into this, I'm hearing the crispiness of the skin, which is a really great sign, and the flesh is really nice and buttery. The snap peas are bright and vibrant. I'm a happy camper. And while this dish might look super fancy, it's actually quite easy to assemble. It comes together quickly and it's great for a weeknight meal.